Good evening, folks, and welcome to another episode of the Arca Racing Podcast. I'm your host, Colby Evans, a.k.a. Starting Park Car, and I'm glad you guys have joined me on this fine Wednesday night. I hope you guys are having a great Wednesday night, too. We have a fun show for you guys today. No race reviews today, but we got two races to preview, and ironically, they're both happening on the exact same day, and I think they're also happening at the exact same time. Of course, we will get into that a little bit later. We are previewing this weekend's Arca Menard Series Main Series and West Series races, specifically at Salem and All-American Speedway. And, of course, we're going to do my little intro to the show that you guys know. And then, of course, we'll just get right into the preview show. No reviews, just previews, but I'm still grateful that you guys have all joined me here. And, yeah, let's have some fun tonight. So you guys know the drill, of course. Follow me on social media at Starting Barker on Twitter. And subscribe to my YouTube channel. We just hit over 500 subs. Thank you guys so much again for your continued support. Now that we're at 500, the next goal is to get to 1,000. We're at 1,000 subscribers. We will have a huge giveaway. And I'm already promising that right now. It'll be a huge giveaway. Check out theracingexperts.com for all NASCAR content. Those are my official media bosses and proud sponsors of the show. And, of course, Brockbeard, NASCAR Man, and ArcaRacing.com. Check all of them out. They are good friends of the show. And, yeah, let's get right into this, shall we? So we'll start off with the Arca West Eve event. The Arca West Series has definitely taken a break this season. Their races are very spread out. I believe it's only 9 or 11 races this season. I haven't looked at the schedule in a while. Yeah, the West Series last ran at Portland, where Jake Drew, shockingly, won again. Sunrise Ford has just been absolutely dominant this season. Other than Bakersfield, where Landon Lewis got the victory, Ford has won every single race this season with DGR and Sunrise Ford Racing. Absolute dominance in the Ford camp after last year was being primarily dominated by Chevrolets. But yeah, long break. Last race was just about a month ago. At Portland, like I said, where we had our smallest field of the season, but it was still put on a pretty good race, and Jake Drew got the win. Coming into this weekend's race at All-American, we have some familiar faces showing up on the entry list, which I was very happy to see. We had not had a very big entry list this season for the West Series, which is really sad, in my opinion. Like I said, we've had 15, 13, 15. We've had some good ones in there of 21, 24, and then we had 39 at Phoenix, but that was a combo race. But this weekend's race is a very, very solid entry list. We have a whopping, I think, 22 cars in total. 22 cars, including entries such as the 4 of Sebastian Arias, 7 of Takuma Koga. Chris Loudon is in the 11. Kyle Keller is back in the 12. Sean Hingarani is back in the 19. I think that is a Bill McNally entry. That's the first time we've seen the 19 in a while. RJ Smotherman is back in the 21. I expect that to be a starting park. John Moore, my apologies. I thought John Moore was making his debut. Should have done a little bit more research to find out that John Moore had actually made some starts way back in the early 2000s. So it's actually a huge return for John Moore because he has been away for a long time. That is going to be another McAnally car. And the great news is the Pedroncellis are back. Paul Pedroncelli and PJ Pedroncelli. Now, again, PJ won this race last year, so it's not shocking that they would want to return for this race. And, of course, if you're going to bring a hauler that has 2 cars, you might as well bring the 31 of Paul to get that extra $1,000. Andrew Tuttle, of course, in the 39, 54 of Joe East. Nick Jonades, the PP1 Motorsports team. Great to see them back. Brian Comiskey, I think we last saw him earlier in the season. Maybe Sonoma was the last time we saw him, so good to see him back. Bradley Erickson, the second Naki Kluwer Motorsports entry. Good to see him back. Vince Little, he's back in the 85. Bridget Burgess, we'll get to that in a second. Very special story about that. Bridget Burgess in the 88. The 05 of David Smith, the 99 of Colmore. And then we have a later entry, the 97 of Sarah Burgess. Yes, after it was supposed to happen earlier this season, finally, we will have the mother-daughter combination of Sarah Burgess and Bridget Burgess running together. And I think that's just absolutely awesome. I mean, they are two of the sweetest women I've ever gotten the chance to talk to. I'm very passionate about this sport, which is something, you don't see a lot in the ARCA series. And that's not to bash the series, but you really see the passion. These are guys that I compare them to like a Peterson and Kimmels and the Brad Smiths of the main division. They do not have a car. They don't have the equipment. They have good sponsorship, but they don't have the equipment to go up there and contend with the McAnallys and Sunrise Fords. But they are there every single race and are out there to try their best with the little crew that they have. It was not easy for that team just running one car most of the season last year, but I am absolutely so happy for them that they will be making those attempts at the Las Vegas Bull Ring. I wish, like I said, that she was running this weekend, but obviously it's kind of too late for that. But yeah, I think that's probably one of the cooler news out of this weekend, that Sarah Burgess, the mother-daughter combination, it is going to happen. Unfortunately, not this weekend, but it is going to happen October 14th at the Las Vegas Bull Ring. I believe that's actually where Bridget made her first start in the Arca West series. I think it was. I wasn't quite sure. But either way, I wanted to get that information out there right at the beginning. I think that is absolutely wonderful for women in motorsports, not only to have more women in the field, but a mother-daughter combination. I think that's the first time that's ever happened in the ARCA series. And maybe stock car racing in general. I feel like we've seen that in sports cars. But man, I tell you, that's cool, because that's something in this generation I don't feel like we'll ever see it. I'm not to say we won't ever see that again, but that is something so rare that I feel really privileged, and I hope all of you guys too, who are fans of the ARCA series, just feel privileged to be able to see like a mother-daughter combination. And it's not like they're two bad race car drivers. Like, man, the people who haven't followed the Burgess family, those two women are badasses, man, running trophy trucks on the dirt circuit. Like, those women can wheel a race car. It's not like they're going to go out there and run 15 laps down. They are going to go out there and they are going to race. So I'm really excited for that. I don't want to wait, but unfortunately we have to. Obviously got to have time to prep the car, but so that's kind of the big news for the ARCA West series that came out of today, that the mother-daughter Burgess family will be running together at the Las Vegas Bull Ring. Going back to the entry list again, 21 cars. Definitely think that's very solid. The only starting parks I see are the 21 of RJ Smotherman, mainly because he's starting parked the race at Evergreen, and of course the 31 of Paul Pedroncelli, who pretty much always starting parks every race he's been in. Bradley Erickson did start and park the last race, but I don't see that happening. I don't think they would bring him in just to do a start and park. And everyone else, I believe, will run the whole distance. Now, again, 21 cars at a track that's track like All-American Speedway is actually a pretty big field. All-American Speedway is one of the smaller tracks on the circuit, and it's one of the few tracks that could really withstand a small field. You know, because even back in 2020, I think we only had, 13 for that race, and it was still a very entertaining race. And that's always kind of been my thing with the West Series. When we're going to tracks that are so small, sometimes having a small field like only 15 cars, it doesn't hurt the race as bad. But I think having a solid 21-car field like this, at this kind of a track, with how even the racing is, we watched that race last year. PJ did not have the best car at all. Top 4 best car. There are so many people who could win that race. I mean, from Landon Lewis to Todd Souza to Jake Drew to Tanner Reff to even Joey East. He has a shot at it too. I mean, there are so many contenders for this weekend's race. Now, the reason why I haven't mentioned the point standings yet is because, there's not much of a championship battle. And if things stay the way they are, Jake Drew will clinch. And Bob Roncati will clinch also the Drivers and Owners Championships following this race. Even with 2 races to go, he could potentially clinch. He has that big of a point lead. Right now, it is 52 points. I mean, you don't really see that in the ARCA series that much, having a 52-point lead. But yes, 52-point lead over second place, his teammate, Tanner Reff. He would need to leave, though, with a minimum of a 65-point lead, which, pending a lot of weird things happen, it could happen. It could. So there's potential that Jake Drew could clinch the West Series championship this weekend, but more than likely he will officially clinch it at the Las Vegas Bull Ring. But pending an absolute crazy race, excuse me there, guys. Pending an absolutely crazy race, there is a slight chance that Jake Drew could clinch the West Series championship 2 races ahead of the season's end, which would be very impressive in my opinion. But yeah, looking at the payouts for this race, we will pull up the entry blank for you guys. So again, yeah, this race will be taking place FlowRacing.com. Obviously, guys, if you don't have Flow Racing, it'll be delayed on the USA Network at a later date. The official time of the race is at 7:45 their time. So for people like me who live in the Midwest, that would probably mean 9:45 my time. So we're going to be up a little late. One of the bad parts about watching the West Series is when West Series races are at night, we don't exactly get to watch them at a perfect time. I remember I had to watch a West race that started at 10 o'clock my time, and that was a weeknight. I had to get up to work the next morning. So that sucked. But yeah, the payouts list with 21 cars. Obviously, the big people are going to try to go for that $200 bonus first through 20th. Racing purse, $5,000 to win. You guys know the drill. $12,400 with all the bonuses, $5,300 for second, and $3,950 for third. That is pretty consistent for the West Series this season. And of course, last place, just a mere $1,000. But it does go down from about $50 all the way up to about $1,500. So kind of every position you gain is an extra $50. And of course, for the top 20 finishers, an extra $200 bonus. And with, the real world issues, every dollar counts. For a lot of these teams, every dollar counts. I'm just happy to see a field over 20 again. After seeing some pretty disappointing West Series fields, it's great to see over 20 cars again. It's great to see so many contenders. Like I said, I really cannot say there are less than 2 cars who could win this race. I think there's easily 4 to 5 guys who could win this race. Now, my pick for this race, man, I want to go with Jake Drew, but I don't think he didn't do very good at last year's race. I'm going to pull up last year's race. Let's look at the results real quick. Bear with me for 1 second, guys. This will only take me 1 second. Last year's race had 23 cars. So only a couple of cars smaller than last year. We had 8 laps. Yeah, I remember that. We had 8 laps of overtime. PJ only led the last lap. Who was in second? Joey East. Now, the guy who was in third last year's race was Trevor Huddleston. So that's a little shocking not to see the 50 car of Trevor Huddleston entered in this race. But kind of shocking to believe that team would run into funding issues because I believe the Huddleston family is a pretty wealthy family, if I'm not correct. So I'm kind of shocked to hear that the 50 team was running with some funding issues. But, at the end of the day, over on the west side of the country, maybe it can be a little difficult getting those parts. And again, I don't know, but kind of surprised not to see the 50 car entered for this race. But yeah, Todd Souza was up there. Cole Moore was up there. We have so many guys who have a legit chance at this win. And that is so good to see because you don't see that much in the West Series, especially this season, sadly. If I had to give a pick, I was going to go with Landon Lewis, but I'm actually going to go with Todd Souza. Todd Souza has shown, his team has picked up more and more speed, I feel like, as the years went on. So I'm actually going to pick Todd Souza. He's not even going to be my dark horse pick. I'm just going to go with my outright pick of Todd Souza. And my underdog pick, dark horse, will be PJ Pedroncelli. So yeah, as we looked at the point standings, like I said, it's a blowout for Jake Drew. It'd be an absolute miracle for him to lose the championship. But for the other guys and gals in the division, you still want to finish as high as you can in the points. Cole Moore is in third, only 3 points behind Tanner Reff. Todd Souza is in fourth, 8 points behind Tanner Reff. Joey East is fifth, minus 87. He's pretty much in his own position. Takuma Koga's sixth, minus 98, again in his own position. Bridget Burgess is seventh, the last full-time driver. She's 111, again in her own position. PJ Pedroncelli fell to eighth after skipping 2 races. Austin Herzog was ninth. Again, he was released after 5 races. And Andrew Tuttle sits 10th. Landon Lewis, you might not have heard me mention him. Again, he's only been in 5 races this season since he only picked up the 16 ride recently and sits 11th in the points. Now, of course, we all know the owner's bonus. In the main series, it's the top 20 cars. But in the West and East series, it's the top 15. Mainly because if you spread it down to 20 cars, I mean, literally right now, the car that's 20th in the West Series points, the car that's 20th in the West Series points has literally run 2 races. There's really no need to give out a bonus if that car is going to run 2 races. So that's why the East Circuit and the West Circuit drop it down to the top 15, which makes more sense as right now the car that's holding on to 15th place is the number 11, which comes out of the Blue Valor Whiskey Racing Team, which is one of the coolest racing team names I've ever heard of. Go give them a follow, by the way. They're not on Twitter, but for the people who still have a Facebook, they are on Facebook. Blue Valor Whiskey Racing. Go give them a follow. They're actually a really cool team. Chris Loudon, he's an old guy, but he's blue-collar racer. I'd love to get Chris on the show sometime for sure. But yeah, so that's why they do the top 15 there. Everybody and above has made at least 4 or 5 starts. Like I said, the Bruncati team just flat out have the top 2 positions right now. The only real change is that with the 16 staying up there, they are 5th in the points. So that kind of knocked everyone down a position. And the Eric Nascimento team that also knocked everyone down a position. But yeah, for Bob Bruncati right now, he's pretty much sitting pretty. He owns the top 2 in the driver's points and the top 2 in the owner's points. As for the race itself, like I said, last year was utter chaos with so many cautions. In total of the 158 laps, 69 were ran under caution for 11 cautions in total. So with 21 cars, I think there's absolutely going to be a caution fest. Not for all the wrong reasons. I think it's just because you have a lot of guys out there, a lot of guys and gals out there who want to get good runs, who also want to have a shot at the race. I mean, there's even a chance for guys like Takuma Koga, for Sebastian Arias, Sean Hingorani, David Smith to get good runs out of this race, and really, really try, because this is one of those short tracks where the field is so even, from first to probably 18th. I would probably say will more than likely be less than half a second. That's how even this track is. And that's probably why All-American Speedway has been a mainstay on the West Series circuit. Even when it was back in the K&N days, All-American Speedway was definitely a mainstay on the circuit because it was a very fun track to go to. And it always attracted a great crowd and a pretty solid field size. Even in the dying days of the K&N West Series, All-American Speedway would definitely be in the top 3 tracks that would still attract the biggest field because they was the most even playing field. And, well, it's one of the closer tracks to a lot of where the organizations were at the time. So, but yeah, that's pretty much my pick for the race. Todd Souza is my pick. My dark horse is my man, PJ Pedroncelli. Sucks to not see him running the championship, but obviously for funding reasons, I understand why. Now, it is unclear if they are just coming back for this one-off event, because after they had went missing a couple of races ago, they had put out a press release stating that they would be sitting out the rest of the year and coming back in 2023. So is this a one-off, or will we see them for the remaining 2 races after All-American Speedway? Personally, I think that's also going to depend on sponsorship. But, since you're out of the championship run in the driver's points and owner's points, you're locked into the top 15 bonus. So you're going to get that either way. I could say sit out. Obviously, the will to race is the will to race. Maybe show up for Phoenix. At least I could see him showing up for Phoenix, mainly because that's going to be a combo race. And, for people like PJ, it's got to be very fun to run out there with like 30 other cars, not just 20. And I could see him running Phoenix. Sitting out the bull ring, yes. But I could see him running Phoenix. But anyway, it's just glad to see him back. Yes, and the chat, I know it's not a combo race, but it's got like half the field will be main series ARCA. So I call it a combo race anyway, but it's not. It's not a combo race. I just call it one anyway because half the field will be main series ARCA drivers and main series ARCA teams. So, yes, I know. But yeah, that is the West Series portion of our show. And now we transition into the main division portion of the show, where the championship hunt is tight. Sadly, it looks like it is now down to 2 cars. Coming into this race, as we look at the points, with just 2 races to go, Nick Samchez holds a whopping 5-point lead over Daniel Dye. And I tell you, it kind of sucks to see Nick Samchez struggle so bad at Bristol. You did not really expect that. I figured Nick Samchez would... I figured he would blow away the field at Bristol. He was my underdog pick. And unfortunately, not only did they nearly drop the jack on a crew member, they took one of the shocks out and hoped the car would perform better. That didn't work. And obviously, despite Raj's top 5 finish at Bristol, he's just had too much bad luck this season to overcome it. So sadly, we are officially down to 2 cars who are realistically in the championship. I mean, we would need something absolutely insane to happen, not just to Sanchez, but to Daniel Dye as well, for Raja to catch up. I feel like it's just simply too late. Plus, we've had a good season so far of car counts, but I will say, looking at the entry list, not our biggest field. And I will say I'm a little bit sad that this is not a throwback race. Now, there's a lot of promotional hype going into this race because it's Salem. This is the NASCAR equivalent of Darlington. Next to Winchester, everyone who I've always talked to says that Salem's one of the most fun tracks to run on the ARCA schedule, next to Winchester, of course. So kind of a disappointing field to say that there was only, looking at the entry list, there was only 20 cars is what I counted, and that was a little shocking. I figured we were going to get maybe about 25. You look at the entry list, it's pretty standard. 2 Peterson entries. Richmond Racing is back with Peterson Motorsports. Tim Richmond will drive the 06. I do believe that'll actually be one of their cars. Nate Moeller will be doing a start and park once again in the 0. Glad to see that he got the car fixed from Kansas. Galler's got the 2 Rev entries. The 4 Andy Hillenberg cars. Tim Monroe in the 01, Bryce Hogberg in the 10, good old Ed Pompa in the 11, and our man, Zachary Tinkle in the 12. Connor Jones will be in the 15. Taylor Gray, Sammy Smith, Jesse Love will be in the 20, last year's winner. Tony back in the 25 again. Amber in the 30. Greg Van Alst, Daniel Dye. Shout out to him. I think this is a guy who's really, he took back his career, he made his couple of starts in NASCAR, wasn't really well known. And, he started his YouTube channel and he really grew a following. And I just got to give all the shout outs to Landon Huffman. With my Flow subscription, I've watched a lot of the short track racing at Hickory, and I'll say for the 10 to 15 car fields they have, those guys really race like crap. They really go at it. So it's not like Landon winning that track championship was any easy task. And I'm just so proud of him. I mean, he's gotten himself, like they say in the wrestling business, he got himself over naturally. He's built a huge following for himself on YouTube and social media. And I am so excited that he's going to be in this weekend's ARCA race, driving for Jeff McClure in a partnership effort with Andy Hillenberg. I love that. It's a great car. It's a great chance for Landon. It's not a winning car, but it's easy top 5 contender because Landon is a very, very good driver. So I feel like that's one of the great stories about the entry list. Obviously, we got Brad Smith there. Will Kimmel, one of the few, pretty much the only oval race that Kimmel will do that's not on dirt. Alex Club, once again, hopefully they finally got their car fixed. They had a week off. So hopefully they finally were able to see what's missing in that motor. And yeah, so that's pretty much the field there. Yeah, like I said, 20 cars, definitely not our biggest field considering. Did we have more cars at the Salem race last year? I feel like we did for some reason. That was one of the more shocking races of the year because, once again, it looked like it was going to be a Ty Gibbs domination. I remember that race last year. It really looked like it was just going to be another Ty Gibbs domination race. And relatively, Jesse Love had not done much, in 2021. The 15 and the 25 entries were definitely not the primary cars. For Venturini that season. So it was quite shocking to see the 15 not only take the lead from the 18 of Gibbs last year, but actually hold on to the lead and win when the main series car is usually the most fresh. Now, looking at last year's race right here, I actually see only 18 cars. So, as much as we say 20 cars is not impressive, once again, we have actually increased our car counts from the previous season, which, hey, I think that says all but one race this season, we've improved our car count. So definitely a lot of improvement in the ARCA series this season. So that's one thing as ARCA fans we can really hold our heads up on is that the car counts have been up. And I hope we continue that even more next season. In the chat, Ron Vandermeer and Mandy Chick previous announced they would be running Salem. I did not see him on the entry list. Wouldn't be shocked if the funding just wasn't there for them. Or they maybe just decided to skip. I mean, obviously, you got to have the right funding for these races. And with a couple of races to go, maybe they're just going to run Toledo instead. I could see that happening as well. You don't want to risk your car getting torn up, especially with 2 races to go. You might as well just try to tear it up in the last race, I guess. So my right now prediction is I think we'll have more than 25 for Toledo. I would be shocked if the Toledo race does not have more than 25 cars. It's the last race of the season. It's on a short track rather than Kansas. So for the lower teams, there's a better shot of getting a good finish. So that's my prediction right there. So, yeah, looking at the payouts, obviously the shorter tracks don't tend to have as big as payouts on the main ARCA schedule. They kind of actually follow the West Series in some ways. Winner's purse is $5,000 with all bonuses, $13,875, $6,000 for second, and $4,350 for third. With only 20 cars entered, however, all 20 cars will get the $200 bonus from Flow Racing. And of course, with 20th place, last place is $1,000, but in reality, it's $1,200 with the $200 bonus. So that's about normal for the race. Kind of sucks though because 14th to 20th is the same amount of prize money. So, and for full race cars and starting parks, looking at this entry list. The 0 will be a starting park. I don't know if Bryce is going to be a starting park. I know he's in the 10, but anytime Bryce runs, he runs the whole thing. So I think Bryce is actually going to run the whole thing. Whenever Ed is running, Ed runs the whole thing. I could see Zachary being the starting park because the 12 has done quite a few starting parks this season. So the 12 and the 0-1 look like the 2 starting parks for the Hillenberg team. And then, of course, throw in the 0. Now, I did not say the 48 because, back at Kansas, I was informed by the Brad Smith that he will be trying to run the whole distance like he tried at Bristol. He will try to be running the whole distance this weekend at Salem and will be also trying to run the whole distance at Toledo. Brad's really trying to go hard to end the season on a high note. So of our 20 starters, it looks like only 3 of them will be purposely parking and 17 cars will be trying to go the distance. Now, even on a half-track mile like Salem, It's not easy to get out of the way. Salem, the one thing I really love about Salem, there's no really preferred groove. You slide up, you slide down. There's really no preferred groove at Salem. And I think that's probably why the drivers love it so much. I mean, you can literally change the way you drive into the corner every single lap at Salem and still go fast. And with only 17 cars trying to go the whole distance, I don't think lap traffic will be that big of a deal. With the lower car counts that we have seen at Salem, lap traffic has never really been an issue that many times. The biggest issue I've seen with lap traffic the last couple of years was last year when Zachary Tinkle got wrecked by another lap car. And then I think the most famous incident was when Zane Smith, who was like 50 laps down, went out and wrecked Michael Self. That was entertaining. I can't believe that was 4 years ago. It doesn't feel like it was 4 years ago. But yeah, that was entertaining. If you want to give a pick for this race, you can easily say it's Jesse Love. And, in a lot of ways, Venturini might be happy that they have Jesse Love in that car. We'll get to the driver's points in a second. But outside the driver's points, Venturini is fighting for an owner's championship. The owner's championship that Venturini has won so many times. But breathing right behind him, you got the 18 of Kyle Busch going for his very first ARCA Owners Championship in his very first season. Third place and fourth place, Max Siegel and Murray Gallagher, just too far back. So just like the Drivers' Championship, the Owners' Championship has also come down to a 2-horse race. So why not have Sammy Smith and Jesse Love duke it out? I think that's definitely going to be a very entertaining race just for that Owners' Championship value alone. With how good Jesse Love is, and I think he will have the advantage over Sammy Smith. Sammy Smith did not run Salem last year, so Jesse Love in general already has an advantage with having all that extra track time. So I think that'll definitely come into play. If we look at the Owners' Championship as well, Max Siegel sits third with a 2-car. Murray Gallagher sits fourth with the 43 car. Bill Venturini's 15 car sits fifth. Due to the recent bad runs for Raja, the Max Siegel 6 car has fallen all the way to sixth. The Greg Van Els car sits seventh. Kathy Venturini with the 25 car for Tony Breidinger sits eighth. The highest Hillenberg entry is in ninth. That's the 11 car. Mark Rhett's 30 car is 10th. The 12 Hillenberg entry is 11th. The 10 Hillenberg entry is 12th. And Brad Smith is 13th, only 6 points behind. So that could be a reason why he's running the whole distance, trying to pass that 10 car, and that's probably why they're running the 10 the whole distance. Alex Clubb is 14th. Peterson is 15th. The final Hillenberg entry and the final full-time car this season is 16th. That is the 0-1, which has been the main start and park entry the entire season. Also in the top ARCA series, I mentioned in the West Circuit, we have the top 15 bonus. Well, in the main series, that is the top 20 bonus. Now, the top 20 is where those owners get a little bit of a bonus by the ARCA series at the end of the year. And coming into that race tonight, not tonight, I wish, but this weekend, we have 2 cars who are battling for it. But I think it looks like it's already pretty much decided. The 44 of Jeff McClure currently holds it with a 23-point lead over the 69 of Bill Kimmel. Both of those cars are entered, and I would not be shocked if Ron Vandermeer Jr. is going to be at Toledo. And if he is, I could see that locking it up for Jeff McClure in the 44 car. It's kind of been a partnership between Jeff and Andy Hillenberg this season. I think Jeff does own the car, but a lot of it is prepped in fast track racing, and at least in terms of pictures that I've seen. Like I said, my race winners pick. If you guys want to give me a race winners pick, I'm gonna have to go with Jesse Love. I think Jesse's gonna go back to back. My underdog pick, man, it's just at a track like this, you're not going to see a low-budget team come up there and win. It's going to be a high-budget team. So I guess you want to pick an underdog or a dark horse. Throw in Carruth. Because remember, Raja ran top 3 here last year. I believe he finished third. One of his more impressive runs, and a run that really shocked me. So I'll take Raj as a dark horse, and I'm going to pick Jesse Love to win again. Obviously, I wouldn't be shocked if you guys pick Sammy. He's going to be tough to beat. But I think as much as we watch the Drivers' Championship, we also do need to watch that Owners' Championship. Now, we talked about the owner points. The driver points we didn't get fully into. So we got into the top three. Coming out of this weekend, Sammy Smith, maybe not this weekend, but does have a chance to still move into fourth place in the Drivers' Championship. Greg Van Alst is minus 125. Tony Breidinger is minus 136. Sammy is minus 138. So he's only 2 points behind Tony. I think he'll easily pass her. Unless he wrecks out, I don't see Tony outrunning him. I wish he could. But more than likely, he will pass Tony. He might not get Greg. Greg, he could see him getting a top 10 finish here. So I think Greg will hold on, but I think he will get passed at Toledo. Amber Balkin is 7th, minus 189. She's pretty much trapped in her own position at this point. And Brad Smith is 8th, minus 244, but again, trapped in his own position. As 9th place, Taylor Gray is just too far behind. He will not catch him. Zachary Tinkle is 10th, but he is only 2 points behind, or 2 points ahead of Jesse Love. So if you're Zachary Tinkle, he's trying his hardest to stay in the top 10 in driver points. So yeah, and then our other full-time guys, Alex Clubb's down in 17th. And he's pretty much the last guy who's attempted more than 12 races. Tim Monroe, yes, but he's only starred and parked most of the season, so it kind of doesn't really count. But yeah, like I said, in terms of the 2 races this weekend, I know this is going to be shocked, but to be honest with you, I'm actually looking forward to the West race more, mainly because of how chaotic it can get. And that's not going to take away from the ARCA race in general. I think it'd be also a very entertaining race as well. But in terms of the ARCA West race having just one more car added, and I think you have the field is a little bit more even on the West Circuit. I think we can agree with that. I think that race is just going to be a slightly more entertaining. Now, this is a little bit of a weird race. These races are happening very close together. The Hearst Next 200 will be happening at 4 p.m. Eastern. So luckily, guys, you do not have to worry about flipping from race to race. For some strange reason, this race is not happening at night, which I don't really get. Salem is a lot more entertaining when it is at night. It's actually happening at 4 p.m., which I also don't quite understand because that's right in the middle of the Xfinity race. The Xfinity race will be just about wrapping up from Talladega around that time. So not sure if I really understand the decision to put it at that time slot when, like I said, we all agree Salem's way more entertaining when it's run at night. But either way, that race is at 4. And then the West race, for the people who do have Flow and will watch it live, again, it's going to be very late. It'll be starting live at 9:45. So, again, won't have to worry about every race, missing any racing. It'll be all there. Saturday is going to be an action-packed day. Hopefully, we'll get to see racing from Talladega. Hopefully, the rain from the Hurricane Ian. By the way, shout out to everyone in Florida. I hope you guys are staying safe. I'm pulling for all you guys. I hate just any type of damage that's being done to good people. You hate to see it. 100% hate to see it. So, hope everybody's staying safe in Florida, and I hope we can just move on from this in a couple days, and hopefully the damage isn't too bad. I think that's the best thing we can pray for at this point. But for everyone in Florida, please stay safe. For Talladega, I hope the rain doesn't hit, but more than likely it will at some point. And then, of course, we got the 2 ARCA races as well. So very action-packed Saturday for NASCAR fans and ARCA fans. And I would like to announce a little something fun. I was going to wait until next the race at Toledo, but I thought this would be kind of fun. Since the ARCA Menard Series does not do this award, I thought, why not I do it? I got a pretty big following, and I got a lot of loyal fans on here like you guys. So I will be doing a Arca Most Popular Driver Award. I thought, why not do this? I haven't seen the Arca Menard Series do this. So at the conclusion of the Arca Menard Series West race at Phoenix, I don't want to do it after the main race because, the West Series is not over yet. So following the conclusion of the main series, West Series race at Phoenix, I will be putting out a poll on my Twitter, which will have, now my rules are the driver has to at least compete in 50% of the races to be eligible. So that's not asking very much. You only have to be in about 50% of the races. And we'll be having most popular driver awards for East, Main, and West. And I'm going to treat it very fairly. And of course, I want to get as many votes as possible. And I want you guys to join in with me because this is not meant as a joke. I want to see who the most popular driver is in Arca based off of your guys' results. Now, would not shock me if literally Brad Smith wins, but I would really like to see, just judging by the fans' opinion, who is their most favorite Arca driver. And maybe we can get this thing to turn into an annual thing. Maybe we can get this thing to be picked up by the actual Arca series. They haven't really, did they even do a Rookie of the Year award last year? I don't even know who's in the Bounty Rookie Spotlight. We haven't really seen that, we really haven't seen that shown much on TV, so I don't really know who the Bounty Rookie challengers are. But, even if Brad does win, I still want to see. I still want to see at the end of the year who the fans will pick to win most popular driver in the East, Main, and West circuit. Again, and that'll be launching following the conclusion of the West Series race. So we're still quite a ways away. Well over what? It's not even October yet, and the Arca West race is in November. But yeah, anyway, guys, thank you guys again for tuning in for a great show tonight. Glad you guys could all be here with me. Glad to put up that announcement out there. And again, we made it to 500 plus subs. The next goal is 1,000. And I promoted it at the beginning of the show, and I'm going to promote it at the end of the show. We'll be doing a huge giveaway. I have a lot of memorabilia in my collection that I have recently been trying to, sell and give away. And I figured why not give away some stuff to you guys. You guys have been very loyal followers, especially for the people who've been watching me since the very beginning when I literally had 5 subs. And I was on here getting 1 live viewer. So, to the people who've supported me since day one, thank you. For the people who are watching for the first time tonight, I hope you enjoyed the show and come back next week. But when we reach 1,000 subs, I will be doing a huge giveaway for you guys. And I cannot thank you enough for your continued support. And I'm not sure if we're going to do a backmarker battles tomorrow. I really wanted to do one. But since everybody withdrew from the Xfinity race and a couple of people withdrew from the Talladega race, all the fun for it's kind of left. So I was actually going to go live tomorrow, but the way it looks, I think I'm going to scrap that because there's really no reason. So as of now, it looks like we'll be see you guys next week for the Arca Racing podcast. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your Wednesday night. Thanks for tuning in with me tonight, and I will catch you all next week. Not sure if it's going to be Monday, maybe Wednesday. I might try a different day, but until then, we will catch you all real soon. Starting Parker, Colby Evans, signing off. So long, guys.